Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I guess we're just going to jump right into this. It wasn't originally the plan. I've got a different camera that I'm using here, and I was going to go back and do a video of like the whole process start to finish. This is starting out where I've already kind of done the monotonous superfluous work that is pretty much the same with every wand, where I just get the wand basically down to a round and get it positioned in the chuck jaws. And yeah, so apparently I don't know how to use my old camera. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit better quality because I've got a better lens on here, so we're going to give it a try, and maybe in an upcoming video I'll be able to do the whole process here. But anyways, we're jumping right in here. I've already got the wand cut to round, and we are doing Bloodwood today. I've got a couple of different wands here that I'm going to do in this video, and Bloodwood is really one of my favorites as far as looks go. It's a little bit more dense, so it can be a little bit more difficult to turn, but it's definitely not as bad as some of the others. So I really like working with Bloodwood, and I really like the look of it. But as you see, we've already got this cut, and the length and stuff already measured out. That's what we did right here at the very beginning, and now we're just going to start working on shaping the handle. And I'm using mostly combination. My two workhorse tools is just my spindle roughing gouge and my spindle detail gouge is what I use the most on this. And so I'm just kind of really trying to balance and get the shape and stuff the way that I want it. When I do wands, I usually have kind of a general idea in my head of where I'd like to go with it, and then once you get started, you kind of have to work with the wood and decide what's going to be possible, and what the wood wants to do. So it's kind of a working relationship. Part of it is you're trying to put your own idea on what you'd like the wand to be, and the wood is giving you some feedback and saying, yeah, I'll do that, but I won't do this. And it's just I think a matter of working together, and that's personally, that for me, that's just part of the artistic process, coming up with the designs. So even though I have an idea of what I want a wand to look like when it's finished, it's a lot of it is just kind of playing around with the shapes and stuff and actually seeing it come to life. So it's a little bit of sculpting. So so we've got the rough shape kind of set up here, and we're going to go into a whole bunch of sanding. And I'm going to go ahead and edit out some of the sanding on this. So it's again, it's the same for everything. I just start with the low grits and work my way up through the high grits. All right, so now I've gone up to about a 300 grit. This is usually where I kind of stop and do my wire burning. And so I'm going to put a couple of guidelines in here for the friction wire. And this is just a steel wire that I'm using to friction burn while that's spin on the lathe. And that gives me some definition between the different shapes. That kind of burns a dark line into it there. And I do that at about 300 because I come back with that, especially when I'm not doing it like down inside of a groove around there, like on the handle there. I want to come back with that sandpaper and go ahead and smooth that out. But once I do the friction burning on there, then I can take the tenon off the pommel here and continue my sanding. So we're gonna get all that sanding and stuff done now. And the one other thing that I want to do on this is after I get the pommel kind of shaped up here, and before we go into the high grit sanding, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to put a little ebonizing fluid on a couple of places here. Now this works pretty decently on Bloodwood. It's not, it just kind of depends on the piece of wood. This one you do get a little bit it darkens the wood. Some woods it doesn't do very good on. Bloodwood is kind of somewhere in the middle. It does do some coloration on it. So we'll put that on there and let it dry, and we'll move to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to go into our sanding here, going up to the higher grits. And of course, when you do put the ebonizing solution on there, the big thing about that is it does raise the grain. That's one of the reasons that I do that before I go up to my high grits, because we're going to start at I think I go right around 400 grit to take out that raised grain, 320, 400 right in there, and then I work all the way up from there. I'll go all the way up to like a 2,000 grit, depending on the density of wood. The Bloodwood, of course, does really nice all the way up to a 2,000. It's a very dense wood. It polishes nicely. And this part, this is something I usually cut out of some of the videos because, again, it's the same for pretty much every one that I do. So I did manage to get a good video on this. And what I'm doing is I'm putting my taper on here right now. And I just, there's a little stop block right there that I showed at the very beginning, and that kind of pushes this end, the handle end of the wand out just a little bit, so it puts the wand at an angle against the disc here. And so basically it's sort of a pencil sharpener approach, and it's a lot easier, especially the wands that I make. Most of them are usually 13 and a half, 14 inches long on the short side, all the way up to 15 and a half. I've done some 16-inch long wands because of the length of the wands. That it's really hard to get a taper on, especially some of the hardwoods that are really, if they're flexible and they chatter a lot and stuff like that. So I get it down to the maximum size that I want it, and then I'll go in and put the taper on here, and this works really well for me. It's pretty quick, and so once I have that taper on, you can see the taper started, that kind of pencil sharpener method. Then I'll go to the belt sander, and I'll bring all of the all of that taper and kind of smooth it out. And I'm just kind of rolling this under my fingers and taking off. And this goes with the grain now instead of across it. So I'm taking out the thick scratches from the heavy disc on the sandpaper, and going to kind of a 220 on my belt sander here, and I'm just rolling that. You want to keep it in constant motion when you do this, and so I'm kind of just rolling that across there and bringing all of that diameter all to one smooth, even taper that goes, all the way down the wand. And it's just something that takes time, and you kind of have to do it by feel. So, and while we're doing that, I thought this would be a really good place to mention my new book that I have out. Yes, I'm that absolute craziness, and I'm fighting with a cat here, who I have also featured in the books, by the way. This is just a very silly, cozy fantasy. It's it's rather absurd, and I just wanted to write my own story to introduce my own lore around wands and wand making and stuff like that. So, if you're a reader, this is a full-length novel. This is available on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description. But I sure would appreciate your support on that. If you like it, make sure you get on Amazon and give it a review as well. So, anyways, we're gonna finish getting this all the taper and stuff done on this, and we'll get back to the next step. We'll just finish rounding the tip of this off on the belt sander, and now that taper and the tip is kind of rounded out, we'll go and this is another step that I don't show in a lot of my videos because it's, again, the same for every wand. I'm just using my stand-up drill press here, and I've got a sanding flap wheel on here. I've got two different wheels that I use for this part, and this is just a little bit faster. You can see I switched out. This is my fine grit, so I got the 240 or 220 grit, and then a 340 grit, and then once I get the the heavy lifting done and stuff with the flap wheel, then we just move right back to finishing off by hand. And this is these are the same pads that I use on the lathe, and but once you get past 320, then going 400, 600, 800, 1200, 2000, that goes pretty smoothly. So we'll get that. We got all that sanded up, and then we'll get a nice coat of boiled linseed oil. I just finished these off with oil and wax, and this oil, will dry. Take a couple, 2 or 3 days to dry. We'll get some wax on it, and at the end, I'll show the final photos of those. But this is what this one looks like with the oil, and so we'll go ahead and jump into wand number 2. For the second one, I've edited out quite a bit of this because it's very much like the first wand. All I did was get it to the round, put it in the chuck jaws, and get the handle marked out here, and then we're just going to go into our shaping. And so I've edited quite a bit of this out, so we're going to jump between scenes here pretty quick. So this is another standard wand. I had to come up with some different terminologies for my Etsy page. By the way, these all are available. All my wands are available on my Etsy shop. You can see that down at the bottom of the screen here. So I have some standard. At this point, you can order a wand by the type of wood that it is, and there's two options. There's standard, and then there's fancy. So I had to come up with some terminology for that, and it was getting to be really difficult to come up with pictures for and doing every wand individually listed when they're all, I have videos of them. You can see how they're all made pretty much the same way, and it was really tedious. So at this point, you can order a standard wand, which is what these two are. The fancy style is when I go in and do like wood burning and carving. I've got some videos and stuff on there, but that way it kind of gives me a little bit of artist choice on that. I do try to keep a couple of each style in stock. So that, they can ship out pretty quick. But if you have specific requests, as far as, can you make something similar to this wand, send me a picture of one that you like, but make it out of this wood, then that's, pretty standard. I can do that as well. But yeah, at this point, if you're ordering on Etsy, it was just a lot easier to have a standard and a fancy version for each wood. And then you get, I'll pull one from stock, or I'll make one for you. But yeah, so here you can see this one. It's a little bit different shape. We still use the ebonizing fluid on it, and this is I tried to kind of zoom in a little bit on it here. This camera is not doing exactly what I wanted, but yeah, with the oil and stuff on it, it really looks good. I'm going to take a real quick second here just to remind you again, the new book is available on Amazon, so definitely, go and check that out. It's very much appreciated. And here's the final photos. So this is done in the photo studio, where I've really had got the good camera set up and stuff for this, so that I can, get some really nice pictures, so you can kind of zoom in and see the detail and that, rich color, that you get from Bloodwood. This is final polish, with the wax and everything, and this is the kind of one that you get from me when you get it from Etsy, or you if you see me at a show and stuff, when I'm doing shows and stuff, throughout the year, so you can kind of find out where I'm going to be if you want to see them in person. So, hopefully you enjoyed kind of seeing how those are made. I'll try to get some more videos up pretty soon. I've already got some footage for a holly wand coming up in the near future, so we'll get that done for you, and hopefully we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.